Hi, good morning. Dr. Garima here again. And today we'll be solving another 4 questions from Rosensteil. Just to recap the memory, we had started solving from this book, The Ultimate ADC Written Exam Companion. I have taken from the ADC resource mentioned on their website all the textbooks which have all this topics of dental subjects, around 21 of them, and from each textbook I have made questions so that it's easier for you to practice, because it's practically impossible to go through each and every textbook and remember so much of information. So I've taken out the most important topics which are relevant for the exam, made single best questions on it just like the exam with scenarios and answers and explanations, and have published it. I am thankful to you all for being so appreciative. I'm getting so many emails thanking me about this book, because it's saving tons of your time while maximizing whatever time you have into studying the right thing. Right path, right guidance is equally important to your hard work. It's not like if you just do hard work you can succeed. You have to be doing the hard work in the right direction. If you are doing hard work in the wrong direction, you will be just frustrated because you have given so much of your time and effort, but all on the wrong direction. You understand? So this is this guidance and direction, and you already have the hard work. So you have to, succeed eventually. So anyways, as an author, I really feel happy when you guys just send me emails of appreciation, because I know how much hard work I have put into. I did not have anything when I was giving my exam, and only if I had this, my time and preparation and energy, I would have used very correctly and would have had the remaining amount to spare to my house also. But instead, I was just juggling through all the textbooks and making notes and, taking double the time and effort. It's like if you have an elevator to go to the 100th floor, you are instead taking stairs, so you're spending so much of time, because ultimately your job will start when you reach your destination, which is on the 100th floor. So why not go with an elevator? So this book is your elevator. So anyways, yesterday we started with Prostho. Like I mentioned, it's the pain part, and this book is over 583 pages, and I think we were on page number 299. Yeah. So we are solving the questions from the book Rosensteil, which is the ADC recommended book for fixed partial dentures. Let's start with question number 6. What is the primary disadvantage of a knife edge finish line? Okay, now for this, just to recap your memory, I have opened this presentation. I downloaded it over the net. I have not made this, okay? This is a finish line. You can see this, such a beautiful finish line. Now, how your finish line is, we have given different names for it, and depending how you make a finish line, for what purpose you are doing that, basically to give which type of material. Your finish line, you start making it when you have in your mind which kind of material you're going to use. Now, let's go to this picture. Now, this is your tooth, okay? This pink color is your tooth, and here is where your burr is. So this is a feather edge finish line. Now when do you give this? When you're doing a direct composite restoration, okay? You can give it at that point, or you're doing something called as lumineers, which are very thin laminate kind of a thing. Then you can give a feather edge, because it doesn't have pretty much any hold, but it takes support from the rest of the tooth structure. So a direct composite restoration would be a good answer for this. Knife edge. Now, knife edge is easy to make because all you take is a thin tapered burr. But is it that effective? Depends on the material. If you're using something like Emax or lithium disilicate, then only for a laminate purpose you can choose to give a knife edge, but I would still say don't go with that. You need to have a little bit of thickness. You just cannot have a knife edge thing. But yes, a lot of people do that, and just for the anterior teeth it's okay also at some point of time, for the posteriors also. But I wouldn't bank much on the knife edge. I would rather go with chamfer, but knife edge is still doable. It's easier to do. But what is the disadvantage of it? So we'll come down to that question. Now coming to chamfer, this is how a chamfer finish line looks like. There is a chamfer burr for it. Bevel, this is a beveled chamfer. You see this is the bevel. Shoulder. Shoulder you usually give in full porcelain crowns, you know. I doubt anybody is doing porcelain crowns anymore with the, you know, advent of zirconias and Emax and lithium disilicate crowns. Shoulder requires a lot of tooth reduction. You can see how much the tooth is reduction if you compare from here till here. But yes, of course, you do get a good thickness of the margin. You get a good thickness of the material that you're going to put. But nowadays, because zirconia materials are so strong, you know, you can go with a chamfer or a little more than the knife edge kind of a thing. And this is the beveled shoulder. Rarely I have seen a beveled shoulder be given nowadays. Again, it requires a lot of tooth reduction. And this would also require a lot of supragingival preparation. Subgingival would cause a lot of bleeding in this scenario, I guess. So these are the type of finish line margins basically. So now we go back to our question. Where is our question? Yeah. What is the primary disadvantage of the knife edge finish line? They are easy to prepare. That is actually an advantage. And where am I? Difficult to capture an impression. Yes. If it's a knife edge, sometimes you actually don't get the margin of it in the impression unless you are scanning. Even in scanning, sometimes if it's not high resolution, they cannot replicate on that 3D printed model. Provide strong support to restoration. No, they don't. Useful for gold restorations. You can actually, because gold is like a malleable metal and you can actually compress it in the spaces where it's knife edged, because like I said, it's malleable and it's a very good metal actually, but of course the color creates a big problem, right? So what is the primary disadvantage? It is that it's difficult to capture in the impression, which is true. If you have ever done a knife edge preparation and you have taken an impression, you know what I mean, right? So that's the answer for this. For a porcelain fused to metal crown, now this question has come in exam many times, you know. For a porcelain fused to metal crown, how much incisal reduction is required on an anterior tooth? Not only this question has come in the exam, you actually have to prepare a tooth in your exam, in your part 2 exam for a porcelain crown, right? 1.8 mm thickness of the margin with that probe. Yeah, you know, when you go to your part 2 exam, you will remember what I'm saying right now. So not only this question is very important from the theory point of view, it's there in your practical exam. You have to perform it, right? So how much is the incisal reduction required? It's 1.5 to 2 mm. So in the exam also you have to keep measuring how much incisal reduction you have done. For the posteriors you can actually go up to 2.5 mm. But yeah, at least 1.5 to 2 mm is required so that it has enough thickness of the metal. Like I was mentioning yesterday, if there is not sufficient thickness, then under compressive strength, that is the horizontal fracture that it would, horizontal pressure it would come, the crown will just crack into pieces. It needs a sufficient thickness to bear the pressure of biting. So in a porcelain fused to metal crown, you need at least 1.5 to 2 mm. In an all porcelain crown, you need at least 2 mm. In zirconia, lithium disilicate crowns, I think 1 to 1.5 mm is also okay, because those materials are really compact and thick and they don't shatter like glass, and they are usually made out of a monoblock. So there is a cube of that material and then it's carved in the lab. But in porcelain, you are putting layers and you're firing it and you're turning it into porcelain, you know, those layers of silicate. So of course, when you are doing something manually, there are more chances of air bubble getting incorporated. The compressiveness, the compactness of the material is not going to be that much unless you start preparing from a thick block which is made just of that material. You get my point? By now all of you must have seen the difference between a metal crown, a porcelain fused to metal crown, a porcelain crown, a zirconia crown, an Emax crown, you know. So that is the answer for this question number 7. Now this question number 8 is interesting. In a diagnostic wax up, the most important role is. Now, first of all, let's understand what is a diagnostic wax-up. So I've again opened something here. See, why are you doing diagnostic wax-up first of all? Say a patient comes to you like this and he says, I want to change my smile, do something about it. You know the end result, how it's going to come out, but you have to take consent of the patient, and the patient also should agree with the end result, what is going to come out. But can he imagine how it's going to look like? No, he can't. So I know there are various smile designing softwares, but having a diagnostic wax-up is beneficial because you can actually hold and see, which you can't in the smile designing software. So what you do is you take an impression of this, you send it to the lab and you ask them to do a diagnostic wax-up, and you call the patient back again for the consultation. So on the day, the first time the patient arrives, all you do is just scan and send it to the lab. What the lab does is they will position it properly, they will do all the bite things, and then they will put wax, the diagnostic wax, and then they will properly prepare. And this is how exactly the final restoration would be going in terms of shape and size. Of course, the shade selection, the patient and you with the lab together, you will be doing it. But this is how it's gonna look. So when you have something like this in your hand and you show it to the patient, and then he sees his previous model compared to this, they actually get a real-time understanding on what is going to happen after the tooth preparation and how the final restoration is going to look like. And once they agree with this, then only you start drilling the tooth. You get my point? So this is called as a diagnostic wax-up. Now let's go back to the question. The most important role is replicating bone contour. No, we are not replicating bone contour. Determining pulp anatomy. No. Diagnostic wax-up is not pulp anatomy. Tooth anatomy? Yes. Pulp anatomy? No. Read the word properly. Guiding preparation and final aesthetics? Yes. Measuring gingival width? No. You see? So when we saw that model, our main focus was how the teeth are going to look like. The rest of the things were on the model. The rest of the things, I don't even have to take a model for that, like the gingival width and replicating bone contour. I can see all that, when I've scanned, and that is not a major cause for doing a diagnostic wax-up. Diagnostic wax-up is for the teeth and teeth only. So, and the last question for today, which of the following is a contraindication for fixed partial denture? Contraindication. Single missing posterior tooth? No, you do fixed partial dentures all the time for that. Well supported abutments? Oh, you would be happy to have well supported abutments. You want to have very healthy and happy abutments, right? Adequate crown root ratio? You want adequate crown root ratio. How is that not an indication? Active periodontal disease. Yes, that is what you don't want because it would compromise my treatment. Because you never know when gingival and bone loss would continue, to what extent is going to continue. You give a crown and then the gingival is getting recessed. The tooth is becoming wobbly because of the loss of support. So that is going to create more problem for me, So that would definitely be a contraindication. You have to treat the periodontal disease first, you have to stabilize it, and then only you can move ahead with any sort of treatment. So thereby we finished 4 questions for today for Prostho. Again, we'll take another 4, I think on Saturday. Tomorrow, I don't think so I'll be able to shoot a video. I have a very packed schedule. So again, if anybody would like to have this book, can email me on adcwrittenmocktest@gmail.com. I'm mentioning everything in the description. Wonderful book. Saves tons of your time. Like I said, it's an elevator to your destination. Don't go by stairs. You don't need to. So have a nice day. Bye-bye.